About a year ago, I started a cold email agency, or outbound email as it's otherwise known. And I thought it was going to be a great business because running outbound email was always one of the easiest growth channels for me to run. I think the hard part is just copywriting, and the easy part was setting it up. So I was like, oh, this is going to be perfect. It was actually miserable to run, and I shut the whole thing down. And I hope I never have to build a cold email system for a client again. But if you want to build one for yourself, I'll show you how to build one right here. So I'll walk through in this video quickly how to set up the system. I'm actually going to take you through the system that I had set up, and I'm going to show you how it was built. I'll show you how to create campaigns that get the best results. And then I'm going to go over just some insider tips and things that I learned since I don't really do this anymore. And if you saw my previous video, instead of outbound email, even for my own stuff, I just run social automation now. It's a lot cheaper and I think it works a lot better. But there's a ton of reasons to do outbound cold email. So if you are a B2B company, this almost certainly needs to be part of your strategy. Here's how to do it. Similarly, if you have started a young B2B project, like I don't know, even if you're just like an indie hacker or something, this is a great way to get your first customers. If you run a service business, it's a great way to get clients. It's also a great way to get really comfortable with rejection because people are going to get really upset when they respond to you. So I'll go over all of that. But to start with, let's cover how to set up the system. So the first thing you're going to need to do is purchase a new domain. This name should be an alias. So my business, well, it's still called Startup Cookie. We just don't do outbound email anymore. So I was sending from domains like startupcookie.co instead of startupcookie.com. You can really choose anything. It honestly doesn't matter that much. But start with an alias, and then you can move to a subdomain later on if your health looks good. So what I mean by that is once my system was up and running for a while and I wasn't worried about a bunch of people marking into spam, I moved a lot of my campaigns over to like email.startupcookie.com, and that will improve your deliverability. But to be honest, you should probably be running it for quite a while under an alias. And the provider doesn't matter, whatever you buy the domain under is, but you are going to need to set up a lot of DNS records. So make sure you choose one you're comfortable with. And, if you have an existing one that everything lives in already, I'd recommend using that. And make sure you redirect it to your main domain because you will start to get some spam filter issues if you do not. And also, if someone gets an email and they just see it and they're interested, you want them to be landing on your real domain. Okay, then after you purchase that domain, you are going to purchase 3 emails per domain. So for me, I would put it as like sam@startupcookie.co, samc@startupcookie.co, samuel@startupcookie.co. I'd put them all under my name. If you have multiple people on your team, it might be good to test the different names. So you can do whatever you want there. But the important thing is try to use either Gmail or Outlook if possible. And when you set up these 3 emails, you're going to be able to send out 50 emails a day per email. So I should probably actually have written that in there. Send 50x emails a day per address. So that means if you set up 3 emails per domain at 50 a day, you can send out 150 emails a day per domain. So if you wanted to send out 300 emails a day, you would need to buy 2 domains, 3 emails each, 6 emails total. And I do recommend doing that and splitting them between Gmail and Outlook, because then you can use some of these services where if it detects that it's sending an email to a Gmail domain, it will match where it's sending from. So if it's going to a Gmail inbox, it will send from a Gmail account. Similarly, if it's going to an Outlook, it will send from an Outlook address. And in my experience, like 80 to 90% of the people who you're going to want to hit are on Gmail and Outlook. So that's really who you should optimize for. So I would recommend setting up more than one domain, honestly. And I'm going to go into why I would do more than that later. But even if you're sending a lower volume, I would honestly try to buy 4 domains and set up the email per domain. For Gmail and Outlook, setting up 3 emails is around $20 a month. That's not a very big business cost. And there's a bunch of benefits that come with having a bigger system you can cycle. I'll go into that later in terms of how to keep your system healthy. But for now, for building the system, you've got the email set up, and now we're going to set up the outbound service. So for me, I used Smartlead, and I was a huge fan of them the entire time I used them. I have no affiliation with them. For the record, I have no affiliate partnership with them. I don't get literally anything from them. I really liked their service. They let you set up unlimited inboxes, Instantly does too. And Smartlead's got a great Slack community as well. So whenever you inevitably hit some troubles, you can just go ask the community. They've got fantastic support, and the last time I used them, which was like months ago, they were releasing new features every week. So highly recommend Smartlead. I tried it instantly. It was the same thing. I honestly felt like it was basically just Smartlead with worse customer support. They were like really sassy to me. I didn't like that at all. Um, and then there's like some other ones that don't allow unlimited, like Limlist, and there's like a million others. So research them. But honestly, if you're just getting started, I'd recommend just going and using Smartlead. They all compete on prices, so they're similarly priced. And then you're going to want to add the emails into that service. So let me kind of go show you what that looks like. This is Smartlead. That's their homepage. And this is my account now that I'm not using anymore. So you'll see a lot of these messages. It's because I've shut down all of my emails. And as you can see here, my subscription's expired. But they still let me into my account, so I can actually kind of show you what all this looks like. So in your email accounts, you're going to go to add an account, and you're just going to connect your email provider. So if you're using Gmail and Outlook, it's super easy. You just kind of log into your Gmail and Outlook and put your email in. I definitely do not recommend using Zoho. That used to be a really good provider for cold email, and then they got really strict and kind of shut everything down. So don't use Zoho. I'm actually not even sure why they still have this in here. Um, I'm not going to go into custom SMTP stuff. That's another world of complexity. If you decide to become a real pro on this channel, you'll want to look into that. But for now, not really a big deal. So let me kind of just, how do I get out of here? Oh, this happened to me before. I'm actually not sure how to get out of there. So let me kind of go into, oh, I'm in one already. Okay. So here, say I'm at startupcookie.co. If I just go over to my overview page, oh, maybe it won't let me because I'm, okay. So it won't let me do the overview because it's not live. But essentially you're just kind of going to go in here. I set my messages to send from 40 a day, warm-ups not included. And then on the warm-up page, I'm going to, even when it's live, keep it at 10 messages a day. So I'll send that to 10. And then, you can put in your signature here you want. I don't do any BCC. Custom tracking domain. I'll kind of go over this in a second in the DNS records. And that's kind of how you connect your email. Once it's connected, you are going to want to start warming it up. So on this address, I would enable warm up. And here, when in the warm up phase, you're going to want to keep this at 50. And that's just going to send out a bunch of fake emails to a bunch of fake addresses. And if you actually go in and look at your inbox, like if this is set up at Gmail and I go in and, look at my Gmail inbox for that, then I'm going to see a bunch of these fake messages that are, I'm trying to think of an example. They're actually really, really funny, but it's like following up on the project proposal. And then it's like, hey, Jim, it's literally like this whole fake message. And then it fake opens it, fake replies to it. If you want to, if you do actually work out of those Gmail inboxes, you can set these filters so that you don't see all those messages. But honestly, I just worked out of the master inbox in Smartlead. So I just ignored that and you don't have to set up any filters. So, that's the warm up. They do it all themselves. So you basically just have to turn this on. And then I click auto enable the ratios. So that's kind of it for the emails. They'll go in and set up each of those and then just turn on this warm up. The warm up period, I guess I'm kind of skipping around here. The warm up period will take 2 weeks. After that 2 weeks, you can start sending. And once I finish that 2-week period, there we go. What I will do is I will take the warm-up emails down to 10 a day. And then I will move my messages a day to 40. And that way it's still 50 total. And having it be 20% warm-up emails helps keep the email health alive. And then again, I wouldn't really worry about the warm-up if you're using a tool like Smartlead or Instantly, or I think almost all of them have built-in warm-up tools now. So they'll do it for you. And then, like I said, always keep 10% on the warm-up. And then you're basically just going to keep those in the background warming up for 2 weeks while you go in and create your campaigns. But before you do that, you need to go do your DNS records. And you actually don't need to do this. You trigger the warm-up first so that it gets done as early as possible. Then go deal with your DNS records. But there's several things you're going to need to do. So the first one's email tracking. So if I was on that screen, down below, you see this email tracking. There's a setup guide. All of the setup guides in Smartlead are excellent, by the way. That's one of the reasons that I use them. But basically, I go into my DNS records for this email, and I add this CNAME record for email tracking. And what that does is it just makes sure that any links in your emails are being sent from the same domain, startupcookie.co, and that helps with spam filters. Literally everything being done here is to help with spam filters. So that's kind of the first thing. That one's usually pretty easy. And then again, their setup guide will tell you exactly how to do it. All of these, actually, I highly recommend looking at their DNS record guide. So then SPF record, that is one in here. It's typically the same for all the providers. So this is a Gmail domain. I'm using that. Gmail will also ask for this site verification here. And then the other two are DMARC and TKIM. These will be custom. And I've actually, if anyone's trying to hack me, I've scrambled all of these. These are just nonsense numbers now. So you're going to want to go in, put these for DMARC and DKIM. This is going to, again, change depending on whether you're using Google or Outlook. So I highly recommend just viewing their guides. And this attention required page, so mine's disconnected, but if it was connected but found some DNS records, it would have a message here saying like, hey, your DKIM's messed up. You need to go in and fix it. And then it's also going to tell me exactly how to fix it. And if you run into problems, just message their support team and they'll help you. Their support's really, really excellent. And then since I'm using Namecheap in Gmail, they have an automatic integration where I don't have to do the settings, which is really nice. But if I did, I would just have to add another record. So that's the DNS records. It's both more and less complicated than people make it out to be. It's incredibly frustrating when you can't figure out how to get the DNS records right. And it was honestly really difficult before Smartlead had these guides, but now it's super, super easy. So that's pretty much the setup of the actual system. So let's assume now we're 2 weeks forward. All of our emails are set up. The emails are warmed up and they're ready to start sending. So let's talk about how to how to get a campaign going. So like I said, you're going to want to send a max of 50 emails a day, including warmups. You can just set up as many domains and inboxes as you want till you get to the volume that you want. And by the way, these tools like Smartlead and Instantly, they're the reason you have so much spam in your inbox now, because they let you set up as many inboxes as you want, which makes it really, really cheap to send out insanely high volumes of emails. It's also the reason why, honestly, I'm probably stopping doing cold emails, because people have just been so turned off to the channel because of all the spam that I was just having to take some bad meetings. But I'm going to talk about that in the last section. So I talked about targeting Gmail versus Outlook inbox in the campaign settings. Actually, I guess I didn't show you how to do that. So this is one of the last campaigns that I was running back in December. This is when I was still running it with links and whatnot. So I'll cover that in a second. But if I just kind of go into the edit page here, I'm not really going to go over most of this because it's self-explanatory, but you can just kind of import your leads. This is the copy page where you can do all the copywriting. Excuse me. They have guides on how to do some of this personalization stuff to help lower your spam filtering. And yep, you write your copy in here, add different flows to it. You can add A/B tests. They've got the variables here. I'm going to go into the settings because that's pretty important. So I usually stop when someone replies. I would not recommending click or opens because those metrics are kind of nonsense with all the trackers now. What I started doing at the end is not tracking any links. I didn't put any links. I would go all the way off of replies. I'll talk about that a little more in the last section, but what I would do is I would click these so that I wouldn't track anything. And then I would optimize the email deliverability by sending in plain text. But again, you must make sure that you don't have any links because it won't be able to send a link. And most people just want to send someone a cold email with a link, and then the person clicks on that link and it's like a huge success. It's not how outbound email works. You need to optimize for replies and have some sort of sales process put in place. Yeah, and kind of just leave that. A lot of these settings are just going to be up to you. This is this auto categorization that I was talking about where it will, oh no, sorry. This is the auto with the Gmail and Outlook where it matches them. So if you do have both Gmail and Outlook accounts set up, I would definitely check this. The lead categorization, super nice, especially if you're like me and you're just sort of like a solo indie kind of person. It will automatically tell you if it's uh, like interested, if someone's pissed, then you don't have to go through and figure that out all yourself. So just kind of some general settings there. And then in the campaign settings, I'm not going to go into those because that's just choosing your emails and whatnot. Um, I think that's pretty much all I'm going to mention for the campaign setup. Like, honestly, a lot of this you're just going to have to figure out yourself, but keep it as simple as possible. This is where almost everyone goes wrong, is the copywriting. Um, okay, so did I forget anything here? I think I should probably go over these things a little bit more in detail. So, um, ignoring the open rates and the click-through rates. So many people have um, trackers set up on their email now that you'll get these really good statistics. Like if I go into this campaign, um, it had an 86% open rate. Now that sounds pretty good. I do not think that 86% of people actually opened this email. What's happening is that the email trackers are opening and clicking on the email. And so it's giving you these abnormally high rates that are just frankly meaningless. So what I found that almost everyone succeeding in outbound email is doing is they're focusing on the replies. They're not even sending links. They're not even tracking opening and click through rates. And that's everything is through the replies, the deliverability. Like if you send out 1,000 emails and you don't get any replies, no one's getting your emails. I promise you, even if you send out the worst email campaign to 1,000 people, you will have at least 100 yelling at you in your inbox. So focus really hard on that. I mean, sometimes you have to send the link, but I would really recommend not if you're trying to get sales results from this. The copywriting, gosh, that's huge, but I don't have much advice there. Try reading the email out loud. Make sure it doesn't sound fake or cringy, but mostly just send the email how you would to your best friend. Imagine you were introing like your best friend to someone at a job. Like that's how you should talk. But to be honest, you should probably just find a good copywriter because copywriting is really hard, especially when you're appearing in someone's inboxes without them asking you to. Okay, and then getting leads. I'm going to touch on this really quickly. So I didn't like Apollo's great, but it's very expensive. And if you want to actually like scrape all the leads from it, what you can do is use this tool called Find Email. And you can it adds this extension here. It basically lets you go into Apollo and LinkedIn Sales Navigator. You can set all of the searches that you want and then export it to Find Email. And then your leads will appear there. And you can actually automatically push them into Smartlead because they have an integration. So I'd really recommend that ecosystem. It's much cheaper than just paying for the full Apollo system. And it works pretty well. I've gone around, tested different lead scraping tools. I'm a big fan of Find Email. I originally emailed the founder for a newsletter years ago, and he's really cool. And they also have great support and stuff. So again, no affiliation. I don't have affiliation with any tool except for Reflect, who I'm head of growth for. And that's this note-taking app, by the way. So that's how I get leads. You know, another option, you can just hire VAs, like find one on Fiverr or Upwork. And there's people all across the world who pay for these subscriptions, and then we'll just scrape leads for you. It's super easy. Okay, I'm about to hit 20 minutes here. So last section, some insider tips. So the good and bad of cold email. I describe it like a muscle car that breaks down all the time. So what I mean by that is that it's extremely powerful and you can accomplish a ton with it. You can move really fast right out of the gate. It's not like content or SEO where you're going to have to wait a while. You will get instant results from this if you do it well. The bad news is that these muscle cars that are very powerful and drive very fast break down often, and they're very difficult to fix when they do break down. I've become a bit of an expert on fixing cold email systems just because I've had to fix it so many times. This is honestly one of the big reasons why I don't run or build them anymore, is because I just don't want to be viable for them breaking down. And you have to understand that no one, not people, not Gmail, not Outlook, really wants people to be sending cold email. So they're trying to get really strict about it. And also, if you start sending out volumes in the thousands per day, they're going to start throttling you. So just understand that the system is going to break and can at any moment in time. And that's one of the biggest downside. Um, but if you're a B2B company, it's great for targeting. It's great for learning how to position your your product, and great for finding your target because you can test different value props and different targets with different campaigns. You can push content and build your email list with it. So it's a great channel, but boy, it is spammy now. So you're just going to have to deal with that. And that's, I think, ultimately the other reason I shut mine down is that my system kept working. And that's where we were getting all of our own clients to build these systems. But I was taking so many bad sales calls. Like, I would just get on these calls with these bros that were just convinced that they were going to have a product and revenue in 3 months. And I'd be like, yeah, you're definitely not going to have revenue in 3 months. And so they couldn't afford it. And they just wanted to take like a call to try and find stuff out. Also, people just get really weird when you appear in their inbox. It's like these people would want what I was offering, but they would put up this guard, like they got by my outbound email system, and they were kind of ashamed by that. And it just started the relationships off on a weird vibe. So for personal reasons, I'm not running it anymore. But if you have a B2B SaaS company, you better be doing outbound email in some regard. Okay, this is a huge one. This is why my email systems, well, okay, so my email systems outperformed all the other ones because of copywriting primarily, but also this method here, where I'm basically only using half of my domains and emails at any given moment in time, and the other half are back on that warm up. And I would just cycle them every 2 weeks. And that basically meant that every email I was using was always at 100% health. So I definitely recommend doing that. It is a little more expensive and hard because you have to set up twice as many emails as you want to be sending from. But if you're planning on doing this as a growth channel, do it. Okay, AI and personalization. I think these are so drastically overrated. My God, like who is converting off of these emails that has like a paragraph of AI written personalization about me and my company? It's like best case scenario, it's going to nail the personalization and be creepy and kind of weird. But mostly I'm just going to know it's AI. So I would rather you send me a non-personalized email, but know that it's like a human than try and trick me. And in general, you're not going to trick anyone into thinking that it's not a cold email. Maybe, but to be honest, those people aren't going to be great clients because they're not going to be the most intelligent ones and they're not going to have great products. Sorry, I'm not trying to be mean, but I mean, people just know that it's a cold email. So instead of trying to trick someone into thinking that it's not a cold email, why don't you just try and like immediately deliver the value to them so that it convinces them and that they understand it's a cold email and they're like, sick, this person emailed me about this thing that I really want. Okay. And then finally, make sure that you have systems that can handle the leads as well. So I kind of went through that, but you really need to have a sales process in place. And this is where a lot of mine fell through, is that I was getting so many responses and I couldn't handle all the responses and sift through them because I didn't have a full sales team. So this is something that works really well if you have a full sales team. Um, okay. I think that's pretty much it. What was this last tab here? I think that was just another campaign. So I don't need to go through that. Okay. I think that's it. If you have any questions, leave them in the comments.